There's a phone in your pocket right now. Sometime in the last hour, you probably sent a message without thinking twice about it. Spelling, grammar, tone, all automatic. Now, take it away. Take away the phone, the alphabet, every language you've ever heard. You're just a body standing in front of another body, and you need them to understand something urgent, and you have no words for either. Not one. For most of the time humans have existed on this planet, that silence was simply reality. And somehow, out of nothing, we built the very sentence you're about to hear. Every human population on Earth has language. Every single one. No exceptions, no tribe ever found without it. Trace those splits backward through DNA, and you land on a floor, at least 135,000 years. Not the ceiling, the floor. Tonight isn't really about when the first word was spoken. It's about what had to break, rebuild, and disappear inside your own throat and brain before that word was even possible. Words don't fossilize. A sound leaves no bone, no ash, no fingerprint. So how does anyone claim to know anything about the first conversation ever held? Researchers reconstruct this story the way detectives work a cold case, through the evidence the body leaves behind. A gene that breaks in a very specific way. A bone in the throat that outlives its owner by tens of thousands of years. And, strangest of all, a piece of anatomy humans don't have anymore. One that every one of our ape relatives still does. Begin with a family in London, in the late 1980s. Half of them, across 3 generations, 16 people in total, struggled to control their own mouths. By 1998, researchers had traced the fault to a gene region on chromosome 7. In 2001, geneticist Cecilia Lai pinpointed the exact culprit, one specific letter change in that gene, now known as FOXP2. FOXP2 doesn't build grammar. It doesn't store vocabulary. What it does is wire the fine motor control, tongue, lips, jaw, that turns a thought into a sound another person can actually understand. Break that wiring, and it doesn't matter how much you have to say. Nobody will understand a word of it. But a working mouth doesn't explain everything. Somewhere in your own throat is an even stranger piece of engineering, one your ancestors paid for in a very specific currency. At birth, your larynx sits high in your throat, exactly where a chimpanzee's stays for life. That position lets a newborn breathe and swallow milk at nearly the same time, with little risk. Then, over your first couple of years, something distinctly human happens. The larynx drops. It opens up a longer, more flexible chamber above the vocal cords, the extra space that lets you shape the vowels in every word you've ever spoken. But drop the larynx, and you lose something. You lose the ability to breathe and swallow at the same time. Ever again. For the rest of your life, every single bite of food is a small, split-second gamble. Charles Darwin himself flagged this as strange, an arrangement no careful engineer would choose on purpose. Evolution built it anyway. That's how badly your body wanted you to talk. For decades, that trade-off was treated as the whole explanation for how humans learned to speak. It wasn't even close to the full story. In 1983, in Kibara Cave on Mount Carmel in Israel, archaeologists uncovered one of the most complete Neanderthal skeletons ever found. Buried with it was a small U-shaped throat bone called the hyoid, the anchor point for the muscles that let you swallow and speak. It was the first hyoid bone ever recovered from a Neanderthal. When researchers finally described it, in 1989, it looked almost exactly like yours. Not primitive, not ape-like, nearly identical to a modern human hyoid, sitting in a skull that had gone extinct tens of thousands of years earlier. In 2013, a team led by researcher Ruggero D'Anastasio scanned the bone and rebuilt its internal structure inside a computer model. Their conclusion: the internal architecture matched the pattern of a bone that had genuinely been used for speaking, not just one shaped like it. Not every researcher agrees that settles the question. Whether Neanderthals truly spoke complex language is still genuinely debated. But for the first time, the case wasn't only about a bone that resembled ours. It was about a bone that may have been worked, day after day, the same way ours is. And if Neanderthals really could speak, the roots of that ability reach back far further than anyone assumed. In 2007, a team led by geneticist Johannes Krause sequenced FOXP2 from Neanderthal, remains in Spain, and compared it, letter for letter, to the modern human version. It matched. The exact evolutionary changes sitting in your own genome were already present in a Neanderthal. which means those changes had to exist in the population we both descended from, one that lived around 400,000 years ago, long before your species had a name, long before anyone alive today's ancestors had even finished becoming what we are. The hardware for speech may be nearly twice as old as Homo sapiens itself. Which brings us to the part of this story that overturns almost everything you've probably been told about your own throat. For 100 years, the standard story of speech was simple. Humans evolved a lower larynx, and that's what let us talk. In 2022, a team led by researcher Takeshi Nishimura published a study in the journal Science that quietly demolished half of that story. They examined the larynxes of a wide range of primate species and found something almost every one of them has, that you don't. Thin, flapping membranes above the vocal cords, plus small air sacs in the throat. In other apes, those structures make vocal calls chaotic, unstable, buzzy, hard to control. Somewhere in our evolution, humans lost them. Not gained something new, lost it. And that loss is exactly what let the human voice become clean, stable, and controlled enough to carry the fast, precise information packed into speech. The most important step toward language wasn't an upgrade to your throat. It was evolution quietly removing a piece of it. So why go through any of this, the broken genes, the choking risk, the missing membranes, just to talk? Every primate maintains its alliances through grooming. Hours spent picking through each other's fur, building trust one touch at a time. But human groups grew too large for that math to work. You physically cannot groom everyone whose loyalty you actually need. Dunbar's answer: we didn't abandon grooming. We found a cheaper version of it: language. Studies of real conversations show something like 2/3 of what gets said isn't information at all. It's who did what to whom. Gossip? That's the oldest job your voice was ever built for. So look at that phone in your pocket again. It feels like the newest thing you own. It isn't. The device is new. The hardware underneath it is close to 500,000 years old. And the urge underneath that to reach another mind and say, in some form, "I'm still here, are you?" was never really about technology at all. If this changed how you think about your own voice, subscribe. There's more of this waiting for you.